Happy Friday, everyone. I'm BJ on your screen, and welcome back to Let's Talk. Today I'm going to continue my travel journeys and talk about the around the world trips I used to do for work several years back. But first, I'll give you a quick highlight of what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing one of my favorites. This is a Supreme t shirt with uh, Al Green on it when he was very young. And then, of course, a Supreme hat that I've worn before with the cross that came with it. So, yeah, that's my gear for today. So, years ago, like I told you in previous episodes, I worked for a medical device company and I would travel the world doing trainings on the medical devices and the software that ran on the devices. Uh, at some point, I began to enjoy the travel and I told my boss, hey, I want to take all the trips. Whatever trip comes up, there was a team of about six of us. Some of the people were married, some of the people were in relationships. At that time, I was single. So I said, hey, let's go. I want to take all the trips. If they don't want to go, I'll go. Sometimes I get notified about a trip last minute, or sometimes they plan these around the world trips, and I'll tell you about that. So the around the world trips went as follows. Typically, I'd start somewhere on the East Coast of the United States. I do a training. So, for example, I did a training once in Miami, Florida, my hometown. There were a lot of trainings there. I think Miami was a popular destination because great weather and a good location. Who doesn't want to be in Miami with nice warm weather, especially if it's cold or rainy in the place where you come from? So I do a training in Miami. I might be there 2 to 3 days. Do that. Then I'd hop on a flight and I'd head to somewhere in Europe. Let's say I might go to, London, and I'd do a training there for 2 or 3 days. And then I'd fly over to somewhere in Asia. And it might be Singapore, where I ended up once in Singapore for 3 days, and that was incredible. Singapore is amazing. If you've ever seen the movie Crazy Rich Asians, that movie was based in Singapore. And when you saw all the beautiful buildings and sculptures and gardens, that is Singapore. It's like an island state or a peninsula state. It's almost like the Vatican City if you've ever been to Rome. So it's small and it's independent, and it's beautiful. And I love the way they set up the place. It has gorgeous modern buildings. And as you're driving from the airport, and by the way, they have one of the most fantastic airports in the world. Google Singapore International Airport and look at they have like theme parks and gardens and waterfalls, and it's incredible. Even a movie theater inside the airport there. So as you're coming from the airport, I'm in the taxi and I see all these condos lining the road. And me being me, I'm always interested in real estate. So I went online and I Googled and found out that the Singapore government built all these condos and sold them to all the citizens at very low prices with very low interest rates. And they're like 2, 3 or more bedroom condos. They're family style condos, huge with balconies and lots of windows. So all of the residents have home ownership. And I just thought that was incredible that the government did that and made it possible. And of course, because it's a small place and there's not a lot of land, this is why they did so many condo buildings, because there's not enough land for everyone there to have a single family house. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. And that concept, I think that's amazing. So yeah, I spent 3 days, maybe 4 days in Singapore. I was staying at a beautiful hotel with every hotel there has all these like fancy gift shops inside selling all kinds of sculptures and of course jewelry and other fancy purses and clothes and stuff. And then there were all these malls there. Each mall was nicer than the other one. It was over the top. So I went and looked at some of those. And then I also went to the famous hotel that you see in the Crazy Rich Asians movie, and also in all the films and things that are about Singapore. It's like a 3-tower hotel, and it has like a long sort of boat over the top that looks like a boat. So I went in there, and the whole roof is basically party central. There's a huge pool and a huge deck where you can eat, drink, etc. And even if you're not staying at the hotel, you can pay to go up and swim and drink or whatever. And that was nice. I didn't get in the pool, but I did go up and look at the city, and you can see the whole country from the top of the pool. And then right across from that hotel is the sculpture garden. So it's a natural garden with lots of plants and flowers and things. But then they have these huge sculptures that look like trees, but they're sculptures. And that was nice too. So I really enjoyed Singapore. That was an expensive trip. Fortunately, my employer paid for everything. If you ever get a chance, go to Singapore. Some of these places, to be honest with you, I don't know if I ever would have gotten the chance to go if I had to go on my dime, especially in the way that I was allowed to go. So in my previous role, I think the agreement was in our contract that if we traveled more than 5 or 6 hours, I think it was 6 hours, then we were upgraded to business class. So, of course, flights to Europe, Asia, South America, whatever, what have you, typically longer than 6 hours, so I would get upgraded. And on this trip, I flew Qatar Airways into Singapore, and I was in the legendary Qatar Airways Q Suite. Qatar Airways was one of the first airlines, if not the first airline, to put in this enclosed cabin for you in business class. And it was comparable or better than, at the time, many airlines' first class seats. You had a spacious, wide, comfortable seat, a big screen television, a huge table that you could be used for eating or working. You got 2 windows in your Q suite, and then most importantly, there was a door that after takeoff you could close, and you had complete privacy. No other passenger could see you. Incredible, very, very nice. I slept so good on those flights. And another thing on Qatar Airways, the food is delicious. I would eat on those flights. That's part of the reason why I ended up gaining weight in that position. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, go to Singapore. It's absolutely gorgeous. I would say if you do 5 days in Singapore, that's good. And then you might want to plan it where you go to another Asian country that's nearby to enjoy some time. But it's absolutely beautiful. It can be romantic. Prepare to spend, because everything there is expensive. The shops are expensive, but it's the cleanest, most beautiful place. And because it's small, they've outlined and designed and detailed every square mile of it. It's incredible. So I'm also going to show you today some souvenirs that I picked up along the way when I travel. I'm not a person that usually does t-shirts or things like that. When my mom was alive, she always asked me to bring her a magnet from every place I went. And at one point, I was starting to bring her all these magnets. But what I liked for myself in my collection is little objects that are from the place that remind me of the place. I'm going to show you a few things now. So when I went to Germany on business, the World Cup was happening. This was back, I believe, in 2014. And Germany was in the World Cup competition. They were up in the semifinals, and I don't know if they won that year, but they got really far. And so there was a store near where I was staying, and they sold all these silver trinkets. And I saw this soccer shoe with the cleats on the bottom, and I said, let me buy it. It turns out it's a bank. So it's like a sterling silver shoe, a soccer shoe. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I bought that. That always reminds me of Germany. Another trinket I got when I was in Guangzhou, China, and I'm going to tell you about that trip on another episode because, man, China is something else. Don't believe the rumors. You need to get to China at least once in your life, okay? So here, I was in China, and I was in a bookstore. They had all these cool bookstores, and they're still really big on reading physical books over there. And this is like a rocket, but it's actually a calendar. If I can get close, I can show you. You can see here it says like May, April. Then you have the dates. You can put in the day of the week. So that was cool. And for a while, I was actually keeping up with it. You have to sort of rotate to keep the days, and you can have it on your desk. I don't do that anymore, but I keep it now for display. It's really, really nice. And it's heavy too. It's sterling silver and like cork. Then I was in South Africa on a business trip, and I found this in a store. This is a little miniature lion. At first, I thought he was like a rhino because of the body shape. But if you look at the face, it's actually a lion. So that was pretty cool. I got that. That reminds me of South Africa. That's on my display shelf as well. And then on one of my mini trips to Brazil, I bought this toucan. Remember Toucan Sam? So I bought this, and he's in semi-precious stones. Apparently, the mines in Brazil produce semi-precious stones, and there's so much of it that you can buy this stuff really affordably. So the base is amethyst, and then this is pink quartz here, and then there's another blue semi-precious stone here. I don't remember the name. And then of course the beak is another semi-precious stone in sort of an orange yellow color. Absolutely gorgeous. The colors don't show up quite as well on this camera, but that's okay. So that was my episode for today. I told you about Singapore. Singapore is amazing. It's beautiful. If you get a chance to go, I would check it out. Coming up in the next episodes, I'm going to continue talking about Asia. I was lucky enough to go to China. I went to Japan twice. I've been to Singapore, Taiwan, and a few other Asian countries. So I'm going to talk about all those, and I'll give you updates, and we'll continue this travel series. I enjoy it. If you enjoy this, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll continue doing these, and join me for the journey. Thank you, and have a great weekend. I'll see everyone back here on Monday. Goodbye.